I know, Congressman Cloud, you've been to the border several times before. How did it look this time in comparison to previous visits?
Well, it's not any better than it was at the worst time during the Trump administration. As a matter of fact, it's getting worse by the day. It's unfortunate because, of course, the Trump administration inherited a problem and made tough choices to come up with a solution, but the Biden administration, of course, inherited a solution and has put in policies that have created this problem. And so it's a stark contrast. It's tragic. And what's really tragic is just the fact that they don't understand that lawlessness is not compassion. Aiding and abetting cartels is not compassion. Cartels are driving this. They're profiting off of each individual that comes across, many of them paying it for with their bodies, with their lives. It is tragic that we're continuing to allow this to happen.
Well, was it avoidable, though? I mean, if you announce some of the policies that have been announced in the Biden administration, wouldn't you expect there to be a surge at the border?
You certainly would, and really anyone who knows anything about the border knows that these policies would have led to this problem. And so you have to think it's either incompetence, it's negligence, or it's unfortunately maybe by design. It's just tragic that we're at this point because this is the foreseeable outcome of the policies that have been put in place over the last couple years. And again, it's sad that instead of partnering with the communities in our state, instead of partnering with communities across our nation, that we in essence have by policy partnered with the cartels. Our border patrol men and women, those who have sworn to protect our borders, now in essence many of them are just discouraged. You talk to them one-on-one, they say, I feel like I'm the last mile for the cartels. The cartels are profiting off of individuals. There's a story recently about the wristbands that they're putting on them to know when they pay for each leg of the journey, so that they don't, and the words was, accidentally kill the wrong person. And this is the warped mentality of the cartels, and our policies have now worked to aid and abet them rather than to thwart their destabilizing force.
Of course, you probably heard Alejandro Mayorkas, the Homeland Security Secretary, saying that he would tell migrants not to come to the border. You have to wonder how effective that is. The former acting head of the Department of Homeland Security, Chad Wolf, under the Trump administration, had this to say about the HHS visit to the border where press were banned. Listen.
The department has an obligation to the American people to be transparent about what they do. You can designate times and you can get them in there if you want to do that, if you want to have that transparency. And I would just say that, obviously President Biden came in talking about transparency and unity, and I can't think of, something less transparent than not allowing press into an unfolding crisis along our southern border.
Why don't they want the press there?
Because they don't want you to know what's going on. There's a saying that says, what you do screams so loudly I can't hear what you're saying. And this is what's happening in this case, where you come out and you say, well, we don't want people coming, but every policy we're enacting is saying, please come right now. Let's put a huge magnet here that attracts people here. And again, we're a benevolent nation, we're a generous nation, we're a compassionate nation, but half the world's population lives on less than $10 a day. We don't solve that by migrating everybody into the United States. It's kind of an arrogant assumption to make. What we do is we be that shining city on a hill, that bright light, and let people know, embrace the principles here, and you can have the same sort of peace and prosperity that we've experienced. But instead, we're aiding and abetting cartels, which for these developing nations are an outsized influence in their country. And so it's difficult for them to develop an economy that helps these families and those sort of things, while we're helping to fund their bad activity.
We heard from Griff Jenkins that in the Rio Grande Valley sector, CBP is apparently releasing people